The bright lights of the control room dimmed as Admiral Zexitrol leaned forward on his three-jointed arms. His 8 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the strange signal coming from the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star. "Is this truly a transmission from intelligent life?" he asked, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into the common tongue of the Galactic Confederation. Chief Scientist Vur nodded, her crystalline head catching the light. "Yes, Admiral. It appears to be a broadcast of some primitive entertainment. They call themselves humans and their planet Earth. The signal showed humans dancing, singing, and telling stories. The beings of the Confederation watched with growing disbelief. How have they survived this long?" asked Commander Brill, his armored exoskeleton clicking as he shifted positions. "Look at them. Soft skin with no protection, only 2 eyes, and they breathe oxygen directly. Inefficient and vulnerable." The Confederation ships moved closer to Earth over the next few months, carefully studying the planet before making contact. Their reports grew more dismissive with each passing day. "Their bones are inside their bodies," noted one scientist with disgust. "They can only see a tiny fraction of the light spectrum," said another, "and they need constant rest periods. Nearly a third of their lives is spent unconscious," added a third. When the day finally came for first contact, the Confederation sent their most diplomatic representatives, though they struggled to hide their feelings of superiority. Their massive ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, landing in an open field where world leaders waited. Among those leaders stood Lieutenant Commander Maya Chen. At 34 years old, she had served with distinction in Earth's special forces, climbing mountains, diving deep seas, and surviving in the harshest environments. Her record was unmatched, which is why she'd been chosen as Earth's military representative. The alien delegation emerged from their ship. Some floated, others crawled, some walked on many legs. They were a collection of the galaxy's most advanced species, and they looked at the humans with poorly concealed pity. "We welcome you to the Galactic Confederation," announced Admiral Zextrol. "We have been observing your world and have determined you are ready for limited contact with spacefaring civilizations." The Earth leaders responded with hope and excitement, but Maya noticed the condescending tone in the alien's voice. She stepped forward when introduced. "This is our military attaché, Lieutenant Commander Chen," said the President. The aliens studied her with their various sensing organs. One tall being with blue scales laughed, a strange bubbling sound. "This is a warrior, so small and fragile. Where is your natural armor, your secondary breathing system? Your thermal regulation organs?" Maya stood straight, her face calm. "I have what I need to fulfill my duties." The alien turned away without further comment. Over the next few weeks, Maya learned more about the Confederation and the galaxy. She discovered that humans were considered barely worth noticing, a curiosity at best, a potential burden at worst. Then came the news that changed everything. "The Vex Imperium has destroyed 3 border outposts," announced Admiral Zexitrol during a council meeting that Maya attended. "They are moving toward Confederation space." Images appeared showing the Vex, massive beings with technology that seemed to blend with their bodies. They moved like living weapons, destroying everything in their path. "Who are they?" asked Maya. "Conquerors from the edge of the galaxy," explained a gentle alien named Tholo. Unlike the others, Tholo had always treated Maya with respect. "They believe all other life exists to serve them or be eliminated." In the emergency meetings that followed, Earth was barely mentioned. It was only when Maya pushed her way into a strategic planning session that humans were remembered at all. "The Earth is in potential danger too," she pointed out. "We should be included in defense plans." Admiral Zexitral waved a limb dismissively. "Your planet is of no strategic value. The Vex would only target you after dealing with more important worlds." "But we can help," Maya insisted. "We have soldiers, resources." "Your help would be minimal," interrupted Commander Brill. "Your weapons are primitive. Your ships barely leave your own solar system. Your bodies—" He paused, looking at Maya with all 4 of his eyes. "Would not survive a single day of real combat." Maya's hands tightened into fists, but she kept her voice steady. "Let us prove ourselves." The alien leaders exchanged glances, their various communication methods, flashing colors, pheromones, subtle movements, all indicating amusement and doubt. Finally, Admiral Zextral nodded. Very well. We will allow a small human contingent to join the defense force, a token presence only. Maya sent the request back to Earth, and soon a ship arrived carrying 50 of Earth's finest soldiers, men, and women who had survived the harshest training, who had proven themselves in combat and crisis. The Confederation officers barely acknowledged them, assigning the humans to minor support roles far from any expected fighting. Maya tried not to show her frustration, as she and her team were given outdated equipment and minimal briefings. They think we're weak, she told her team as they prepared their gear. They're measuring us by their standards, exoskeletons, multiple limbs, specialized organs. They don't understand what we can do. Raj, her second in command, nodded. Their loss. We'll show them when the time comes. That time came sooner than expected. Just 3 days after the human team joined the Confederation, Force's alarm sirens blared through the massive space station. The Vex had launched a surprise attack on the Confederation flagship, and the humans were about to enter a war unlike anything Earth had ever seen. As Maya raced to the command center, she overheard 2 alien officers talking. The human team will be wiped out in the first wave, one said. At least they'll distract the Vex for a few moments, replied the other with cruel laughter. Maya smiled grimly to herself. The Confederation was about to learn just how wrong they were about humanity's primitive bodies. The explosion ripped through the hull of the Confederation flagship, sending everyone tumbling through the smoke-filled corridors. Maya grabbed onto a railing to steady herself as emergency lights flashed red. All personnel to evacuation pods, blared the automated system in multiple languages. Maya gathered her team of 15 human soldiers, directing them through the chaos. Alien crew members rushed past, some flying, others crawling along walls, all in panic. Lieutenant Kumar, get our people to pod section C, Maya shouted over the noise. Through the viewport, she could see the Vex attack ships, massive, organic-looking, vessels that seemed to pulse with dark energy. They had appeared from nowhere, somehow bypassing the Confederation's advanced detection systems. As Maya's team reached the evacuation area, Admiral Zextral appeared, surrounded by his command staff. The primary pods are gone, he clicked in agitation. We must use the emergency landing craft. Maya nodded. We'll help get everyone aboard. The Admiral's eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of surprise in his species. Your team should board first. The landing will be difficult. We'll be the last ones on, Maya replied firmly. As the ship rocked with another explosion, Maya and her soldiers worked to help injured aliens aboard the escape craft. When everyone was secure, the humans piled in, the doors sealed, and the small fleet of landing craft ejected from the dying flagship. Their descent toward the nearby planet was brutal. Maya's craft spun wildly as it entered the atmosphere, its systems damaged from debris. When they finally crashed through the dense jungle canopy, the impact knocked everyone sideways. Status report, Maya called out as she unbuckled herself. 3. Minor injuries, nothing serious, reported Lieutenant Kumar. It's a miracle any of you survived, rasped Commander Brill, who had ended up on their craft. Your bodies should have been crushed. Maya ignored him, checking the craft's communication system. It's dead. We need to find the others and establish contact with Confederation forces. Outside, the jungle planet revealed itself as a nightmare of hostile vegetation and sweltering heat. The air was thick with humidity, and strange sounds echoed from all directions. According to the emergency briefing they'd received, this was Nexus 9, a barely charted world that served as a Confederation emergency landing point. Commander Brill and the 5 other alien officers who had landed with them were already showing signs of distress. Their environment suits, designed for the cool atmospheres of space stations, were failing to regulate their body temperatures. We need to move, Maya told the group. The Vex will be looking for survivors. Impossible, wheezed an alien scientist, named Prell, her crystalline form already clouding with condensation. The heat will kill us before we can reach the emergency bunker. How far is it? Maya asked. 20 units, replied Commander Brill, using the Confederation measurement. Across this terrain, it would take 3 standard cycles. We cannot survive that long in these conditions. Maya did a quick conversion in her head. About 30 miles through dense jungle, challenging but doable. "We'll help you get there," she said, beginning to distribute equipment among her team. The aliens watched in disbelief as the humans shed their heavy outer gear, keeping only essential supplies. "What are you doing?" "You're removing your protection," exclaimed Prell. Maya smiled. "Actually, we're adapting. Humans operate better in these conditions with less gear weighing us down." They started moving at dawn. The humans formed a protective circle around the struggling aliens, helping them over fallen trees and through thick underbrush. By midday, the temperature had risen to nearly unbearable levels. The aliens were suffering terribly. Their biological systems, evolved for specific environments and supplemented by technology, couldn't handle the extreme conditions. "We must rest," gasped Commander Brill, his exoskeleton now covered in moisture that seemed to be causing him pain. "What's happening to him?" Maya asked Prell. "His cooling systems are failing. The moisture is seeping into his joints. Without proper maintenance, his mobility will continue to decrease." Maya nodded and called for a short break. She noticed her team was sweating profusely, but otherwise functioning well. The aliens watched in fascination as droplets rolled down the human's skin. "What? Is that liquid?" asked Prell. "Sweat," explained Maya. "It's how we cool ourselves naturally." "You excrete water through your skin deliberately?" Commander Brill seemed disgusted yet intrigued. "It's automatic. As it evaporates, it cools us down." They continued their trek through the afternoon. The jungle grew denser, and strange howls echoed through the trees. By evening, several of the aliens could barely move. Their specialized bodies, so perfect for their home environments, were failing them here. Maya's team, despite their exhaustion, kept going. They fashioned stretchers for 2 of the aliens who could no longer walk and took turns carrying them. "How are you still functioning?" Commander Brill asked Maya as darkness fell. "We've been moving for an entire cycle without rest. Humans evolved as persistence hunters," Maya explained as she helped him over a fallen log. "We can keep moving, long after most animals, or aliens it seems, need to stop." "That makes no sense," he replied. "Specialization is the key to evolutionary success." Maya shrugged. "Not for us, we're generalists. We can adapt to almost any environment given enough time." On the second day, they encountered a Vex patrol. The enemy aliens were massive, looking like a cross between insects and machines. Maya's team quickly hid the Confederation officers in a hollow beneath massive tree roots and prepared an ambush. The aliens watched in amazement as the humans moved silently through the underbrush, communicating with hand signals. When the attack came, it was swift and precise. Maya's team took down the patrol without firing a single energy weapon that might be traced. "I don't understand," said Prell later. "Our scans showed that humans have inferior senses, poor night vision, limited hearing range, almost no ability to detect pheromones. How did you even spot that patrol?" "We use all our senses together," replied Lieutenant Kumar. "And we've learned to notice patterns, to feel when something's not right." By the third day, they picked up signals from other survivors. Several landing craft had made it down, but most of the aliens were stranded, unable to cope with the harsh environment. Maya's team split up, with half continuing toward the bunker, with Commander Brill and the others, while Maya led a rescue party to find more survivors. They found 3 more groups, all in terrible condition. Among them was Admiral Zexitral himself, his normally imposing presence diminished by the jungle's effects on his body. "Lieutenant Commander Chen," he said weakly when she helped him drink water, "I did not expect to see any humans alive, let alone coming to our rescue." "We're tougher than we look, Admiral." His 8 eyes studied her face. "So it seems. Your skin is red and covered in that cooling liquid, yet you function. You've gone days without proper rest in conditions that have crippled my finest officers." When they finally reached the emergency bunker on the 4th day, the humans had rescued over 30 Confederation personnel. The aliens who had arrived first watched in shock as the fragile humans carried in their superior officers. In the safety of the bunker, Admiral Zexitral called Maya to his recovery chamber. "I have sent our coordinates to Confederation rescue forces," he said. "They will arrive within 2 cycles." Maya nodded. "My team will maintain security until then." "How your team should rest. You have done more than expected. Maya smiled. We're still good to go, Admiral. Those Vex patrols are still out there, and someone needs to keep watch. As she turned to leave, the Admiral spoke again. Lieutenant Commander Chen, I believe we may have miscalculated regarding humans. Happens a lot, she replied with a small smile. We're used to being underestimated. 2 weeks after the Jungle Planet rescue, Maya stood before the Confederation War Council. The circular chamber held representatives from 27 species, all seated according to their biological needs. Some in liquid tanks, others in special gravity fields, a few hanging from the ceiling. The rescue had changed things. Now when Maya spoke, they actually listened. The Vex have established a forward command base on the moon of Craxis Prime, she explained, pointing to the holographic display. Our intelligence suggests they're coordinating their attacks from there. Admiral Zextral nodded his large head. Correct, but the facility is impenetrable. Their defense systems detect any approach by our ships. Then we don't use ships, Maya said simply. We insert a small team on the far side of the moon and approach on foot. A murmur went through the council. On foot? Across a barren moon? Impossible, declared Commander Brill, though his tone lacked the dismissal it once held. The surface temperature varies from extreme cold in shadow to extreme heat in direct sunlight. No species could survive such transitions without heavy equipment. Maya smiled. Humans can. The council meeting adjourned with heated debate about Maya's proposal. As she left the chamber, she was approached by a small alien she hadn't met before. The being floated slightly off the ground, its body glowing with gentle blue light. Lieutenant Commander Chen, the alien said in a melodic voice, I am Dr. Thel, Chief Xenobiologist for the Confederation. May I speak with you? Maya nodded, and they walked together down the gleaming corridor of the new flagship. Since your remarkable survival on Nexus 9, I have been studying human physiology, Dr. Thel explained. I find it fascinating. In what way? Maya asked. Most advanced species in our galaxy evolved through specialization. The Droni developed perfect night vision, but cannot tolerate bright light. The Vex themselves have armored bodies that can withstand incredible impact, but lack flexibility. They reached a laboratory where holographic displays showed human bodies, in motion, running, climbing, swimming. But humans, Dr. Thel continued, waving a glowing appendage at the displays, you evolved as generalists. You sacrificed perfection in any one area to gain adequacy in all areas. The scientist brought up comparison charts. You cannot breathe underwater like the mer, but you can hold your breath longer than most land species. You cannot see in complete darkness like the Droni, but your eyes adjust to a wide range of lighting conditions. You cannot withstand the crushing pressure of deep space like the Vex, but you can tolerate greater G-force variations than most carbon-based life forms. Maya watched as the displays showed humans in different environments, deserts, mountains, oceans. Most remarkable is your endurance, Dr. Thel said with what seemed like excitement. Your persistence hunting technique shaped your entire species. You cannot run as fast as many prey animals, but you can run longer. You simply keep going. That's humanity in a nutshell, Maya said with a small laugh. We're not the best at anything, but we never quit. Dr. Thel's glow brightened. This quality may be precisely what the Confederation needs in this war. The Vex overwhelm with immediate force. They have never faced an enemy that simply refuses to tire. Later that day, Maya attended a special session of the War Council. The highest military leaders had gathered to debate her infiltration plan. It's too risky, argued General Exlin, his tentacles waving in agitation. Even if humans can survive the temperature variations, the distance is too great. 40 miles across broken terrain, Maya counted. With the reduced gravity, my team can cover that in 10 hours. Without detection? Asked another commander skeptically. The Vex rely on thermal and motion sensors. We can move slowly enough to avoid the motion detectors, and the temperature extremes will mask our body heat. Admiral Zextral, who had become something of an ally since the jungle rescue, spoke up. I have reviewed Lieutenant Commander Chen's plan. It is unorthodox, but potentially effective. The debate raged for hours. Maya stood firm as alien commanders questioned every aspect of her plan. Finally, Dr. Thel was invited to speak. The Confederation has always believed that technological advancement was the key to biological superiority, the scientist said. Yet here we face an enemy whose technology matches or exceeds our own. Perhaps it is time to consider a different approach. The xenobiologist displayed new images, the human team on Nexus 9, carrying alien officers twice their size through impossible terrain. These humans possess capabilities we have overlooked because they do not fit our understanding of evolution. They are not specialized, but adaptive, not perfect, but versatile. A hush fell over the council as Dr. Thel continued. The Vex expect us to attack with our most advanced ships, our most specialized warriors. They do not expect this. The image changed to show Maya's proposed infiltration route, a narrow ravine leading to a maintenance tunnel barely wide enough for a human to crawl through. None of our species could physically navigate this path, Dr. Thel concluded, but humans can bend, crawl, climb, and adapt in ways the Vex cannot anticipate. After Dr. Thel's presentation, the council took a recess. Maya found herself surrounded by alien commanders, asking questions about human capabilities. How long could humans go without water, without sleep? How much weight could they carry? How small a space could they squeeze through? When the council reconvened, Admiral Zextral called for a vote. To Maya's surprise, the infiltration plan was approved. Lieutenant Commander Chen will lead a team of 6 humans to infiltrate the Vex Command Center, the Admiral announced. They will place disruption devices that will temporarily disable the Vex defense systems, allowing our fleet to attack. As the meeting ended, Maya was approached by Commander Brill. The once dismissive officer looked at her with what might have been respect. "Your plan is either brilliant or suicidal," he said bluntly. "Sometimes those are the same thing," Maya replied. "Commander." Brill made a clicking sound that Maya had learned was laughter. "Perhaps humans are more advanced than we thought, just not in ways we recognize." Later, as Maya briefed her team on the mission, Lieutenant Kumar raised a question that had been bothering all of them. Why didn't the Confederation ever encounter humans before? If we're so adaptable, why aren't we already spread across the galaxy? Maya considered this. Maybe because we spent too much time fighting each other instead of reaching for the stars. Or maybe because other species didn't think we were worth contacting. "Well, they're noticing us now," said another soldier with a grin. The next morning, Maya was summoned to a secure laboratory deep within the flagship. There she found Dr. Thel and Admiral Zextral waiting with a team of alien scientists. "Lieutenant." "Commander," the Admiral said formally. "Dr. Thel has made a discovery that may be crucial to your mission." The xenobiologist gestured to a display showing the internal structure of a Vex warrior. "The Vex have one significant vulnerability we hadn't recognized before. Their neural control centers require precise temperature regulation." Maya studied the image. "So extreme temperature changes could disrupt their function." "Exactly," said Dr. Thel. "And there is one species we know that can function across the necessary temperature range to exploit this weakness." "Humans," Maya said. "Indeed. If your team can reach the environmental control systems in the command center, you could create temperature fluctuations that would incapacitate the Vex without destroying the facility or its valuable intelligence." As the scientists explained the technical details, Maya realized how far they had come. Just weeks ago, the Confederation had seen humans as barely worth noticing. Now they were counting on human, primitive bodies to do what no other species could. "We'll get it done," she promised. As she left the laboratory, Admiral Zextral accompanied her. "Lieutenant Commander Chen," he said, his voice unusually subdued, "I must acknowledge an error in our assessment of your species." "No need to apologize, Admiral." "It is not an apology. It is a correction of data." He paused, all 8 eyes focused on her. "We classified your kind based on what you lack. Exoskeletons, multiple limbs, specialized organs. We failed to recognize what you possess, adaptability beyond any species we have encountered." Maya nodded. "Every species has its strengths." "Indeed. And perhaps when this war is over, the Confederation will need to reconsider its method of Classifying advanced life forms. The Admiral's eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Maya now recognized as sincerity. It seems that sometimes being a generalist is the most specialized adaptation of all. The small transport ship cut its engines, drifting silently in the shadow of Craxus Prime's larger moon. Inside, Maya and her team of 5 elite soldiers made final preparations. They wore lightweight environmental suits, specially designed based on Dr. Thell's research to enhance rather than replace human capabilities. "Remember," Maya said as they gathered around the mission hologram, "we have 18 hours to reach the command center before the main Confederation fleet arrives. Once they enter the system, the Vex will be on high alert." Lieutenant Kumar adjusted his oxygen pack. "And if we're not in position by then?" "Then the fleet retreats and we find our own way home," Maya replied matter-of-factly. Admiral Zexatral had insisted on personally overseeing the mission launch. Now he stood awkwardly in the human-sized corridor, his large frame hunched. "The Confederation owes you a debt regardless of outcome," he said formally. "No other species would volunteer for such a mission." Maya nodded. "We'll get it done, Admiral." As the team entered the drop pod, the Admiral handed Maya a small device. "This contains all known data on Vex neural vulnerabilities. Dr. Thell believes it may be crucial." The drop was silent and tense. A small metal capsule released into the void, using minimal thrusters to avoid detection. They hit the moon's surface with a bone-jarring impact that would have seriously injured most Confederation species. The humans merely grunted, unfastened their harnesses and began unloading equipment. The surface of Craxus Prime's moon was a nightmare landscape of sharp rock formations and deep crevasses. In the distance, barely visible, stood the dome of the Vex Command Center. Between them lay 40 miles of the most challenging terrain Maya had ever seen. "Radiation levels are within tolerance," reported Corporal Jin, checking her instruments. "Gravity at 0.4 Earth normal." Maya nodded. "Perfect for making good time. Let's move." In the command center of the Confederation flagship, Admiral Zexatral and his officers watched through a secure quantum-linked camera that Corporal Jin carried. The specially designed device transmitted on a frequency the Vex couldn't detect. "Remarkable," murmured Dr. Thell as the humans began moving across the lunar surface in long, graceful bounds. "They've adapted to the low gravity almost instantly." Commander Brill clicked his mandibles. "Many species can function in low gravity." "Not like this," countered Dr. Thell. "Look at their movements. They're already compensating for momentum shifts that would send most beings tumbling." The first real test came 3 hours into the journey. The team reached a deep crevasse, too wide to jump, too deep to climb down, and up again within their time constraints. "We'll have to go around," suggested Lieutenant Patel, studying her map. "Add 2 hours to our journey." Maya studied the crack in the moon's surface. On the other side, a jagged spire of rock rose at an angle. "No, we can make this work." Kumar, the line launcher, using a specially designed crossbow-like device that made almost no sound, Kumar shot a thin carbon fiber line across the gap. It wrapped securely around the rock spire. The aliens watching from the flagship held their breath as Maya tested the line with a sharp tug. "That can't possibly support their weight," said an alien officer. Yet one by one the humans clipped small devices to the line and slid across the chasm, dangling hundreds of feet above certain death with only a thin cable between them. Their grip strength combined with their low weight-to-strength ratio makes this possible, Dr. Thell explained. "Most Confederation species have either the strength but too much mass, or the lightweight but insufficient strength." They encountered their first Vex patrol 6 hours into the mission. The massive armored beings moved with mechanical precision, sweeping the area with sensor beams. The human team pressed themselves into a shallow depression, barely breathing. "They'll be detected," Commander Brill said with certainty. "The Vex sensors can pick up the slightest movement." Yet the patrol passed within 20 feet of the humans without noticing them. When they were gone, Maya's team rose and continued their journey. "How did they remain so still?" asked an amazed officer on the flagship. "Humans can control their breathing and heart rate to some degree," Dr. Thell explained, "and they can remain motionless in uncomfortable positions far longer than most species." The most dangerous part of their approach came when they reached the outer perimeter of the command center. Massive energy barriers and sensor arrays created a seemingly impenetrable defense. There, Maya pointed to a small drainage channel that ran beneath the barrier. "That's our way in." "It's underwater," observed Patel, checking her instruments. "Liquid methane, minus 180 degrees Celsius. On the flagship, Commander Brill hissed in disbelief. "Impossible. Even in their suits, the temperature shock would—" He fell silent as the humans, one by one, slipped into the frigid liquid and disappeared beneath the surface. Dr. Thell's voice was quiet with wonder. "Their suits are not fully insulated by our standards. They're experiencing nearly freezing temperatures against their skin, yet they function." The team emerged on the other side, ice crystals forming on their faceplates, and quickly moved into the shadows of the massive facility. "According to the intelligence," Maya said, checking the small computer on her wrist, "the environmental control center is 3 levels down. They found an access shaft, narrow, twisting, and designed for maintenance drones. No Vex or Confederation soldier could fit through such a small space." "I'll go first," Maya said, removing her bulkier equipment. "Kumar, you're last. Everyone maintain comm silence unless absolutely necessary." The watching aliens saw Maya contort her body to squeeze into an opening barely larger than her shoulders. Then, using small movements of her arms and legs, she began to work her way down the shaft, like a spelunker navigating a tight cave passage. "The flexibility of their spine," murmured Dr. Thell, "combined with their small size relative to their strength, extraordinary." One by one, the human team infiltrated the massive Vex facility. They moved through maintenance tunnels, ventilation, shafts, and narrow gaps between power conduits, places no Vex would ever think to guard, because no Vex could possibly fit there. When they finally reached the Environmental Control Center, they encountered 2 Vex technicians. The enormous beings never had a chance to sound an alarm. Moving with speed that seemed impossible after 14 hours of continuous exertion, Maya and Kumar neutralized them with precisely aimed stun weapons. "We're in position," Maya reported, back to the flagship, as her team began installing the devices that would disrupt the facility's systems. But their luck couldn't hold forever. An alarm suddenly blared through the facility. "We've been detected," Kumar reported grimly. "Security doors are sealing throughout the complex." "Complete the mission," Maya ordered. "I'll buy us some time, taking only a stun weapon and the small device Admiral Zextral had given her." Maya slipped out into the corridor. She could hear the heavy footsteps of Vex warriors approaching. On the flagship, the command crew watched in stunned silence as Maya did something unexpected. Instead of hiding, she stepped into full view of 3 Vex warriors, each nearly twice her height. "What is she doing?" gasped Commander Brill. "She'll be killed instantly." The Vex raised their weapons, but before they could fire, Maya activated the device. It emitted a pulse that caused the Vex to stagger slightly, just enough disruption to their neural systems to create confusion. In that moment, something remarkable happened. Maya's body seemed to change. Her movements became faster, more powerful. Later analysis would show her heart rate doubled, her muscle efficiency increased by nearly 40%, and her reaction time decreased to milliseconds. "Adrenaline response," whispered Dr. Thell in awe. "The human fight-or-flight response." The watching aliens could hardly believe what they saw. Maya moved between the massive Vex warriors with a speed that made her almost blur on the video feed. She struck key points on their armor, weak spots identified in Dr. Thell's research, and somehow, impossibly, the mighty Vex warriors fell. By the time Maya returned to the Environmental Control Center, her team had completed their task. The facility's systems were under their control, and they had discovered something crucial: detailed plans of the Vex fleet's neural network architecture. "It's all connected," Maya explained, as they made their escape through a different route. "Every Vex ship, warrior, and commander is linked to a central neural hub. If we can disrupt that..." 16 hours after landing on the moon, the human team reached their extraction point. They were exhausted, pushed to their limits, but alive and successful. As the stealth shuttle picked them up, the main Confederation fleet appeared in the system. The battle that followed was decisive. Using the intelligence the human team had gathered, the Confederation forces targeted the Vex neural hub with precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulses. The mighty Vex fleet, suddenly uncoordinated and confused, was quickly overwhelmed. Later, in the flagship's Great Assembly Hall, Admiral Zexitral addressed the gathered representatives of the Confederation worlds. "Today marks a turning point in our war against the Vex," he announced, "and we owe this victory to our newest allies, the humans." Maya and her team stood at attention as the Admiral continued. "We once dismissed these beings as primitive and undeveloped. We were wrong. Their adaptability, endurance, and courage have proven to be the exact qualities we needed in this fight." He turned to Maya. "Lieutenant Commander Chen, the Confederation War Council has created a new position, Human Special Operations Director. We ask you to lead a new division that will train others in your unique capabilities." As Maya stepped forward to accept the position, she caught Dr. Thell's glowing gaze. The xenobiologist's message was clear. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. 6 months after the mission on Craxis Prime, the war with the Vex ended not with a long, drawn-out series of battles, but with a single, overwhelming strike. The Confederation fleet, applying tactics developed by human military strategists, had targeted the Vex Central Command structure simultaneously across 3 sectors. Without their neural network to coordinate their actions, the mighty Vex War machine had simply fallen apart. Maya stood at the large viewport of the Confederation flagship, watching as the diplomatic vessels departed. The Vex survivors had finally signed the peace treaty, agreeing to withdraw to their original territories. "Quite a view, isn't it?" said a familiar voice. Maya turned to see Admiral Zexitral approaching, his movement more relaxed than when they had first met. Over the months of working together, she had learned to read his alien expressions. The way his eyes blinked in sequence when pleased, the slight elevation of his shoulder plates when curious. "I never thought I'd see the day," Maya admitted. "The Vex seemed unstoppable when we first encountered them." "They were unstoppable to us," the Admiral replied. "We fought as we always had, using our advanced technology and specialized warriors. It took a completely different approach to change the outcome." Maya nodded. "Sometimes the old ways work best." "Your old ways were new to us," Admiral Zextral said, with a clicking sound that Maya now recognized as laughter. "The Supreme Commander is eager to meet you. The ceremony begins in 1 hour." The Grand Hall of Unity had been built thousands of years ago when the Confederation first formed. Its soaring crystal spires and gravity-defying arches were designed to accommodate beings from hundreds of worlds. Today, it was filled to capacity with representatives from every corner of the galaxy. Maya and her team, dressed in formal uniforms created specially for them, stood at attention as dignitaries from dozens of worlds filed past. Many nodded respectfully. Some even attempted human gestures like handshakes or salutes. "They're treating us like equals now," whispered Lieutenant Kumar. "Quite a change from being called primitives." The Supreme Commander of the Confederation was a being so ancient and evolved that their original species was no longer recognizable. They appeared as a shifting column of light contained within a special field generator. When they spoke, their words were translated simultaneously into every language. "We gather today to celebrate not just victory, but understanding." The Supreme Commander's voice resonated through the hall. "For 10,000 cycles, the Confederation has classified species based on technological advancement and biological specialization. We believed this was the path of evolution, to become more perfectly adapted to specific environments and roles." The vast chamber was completely silent as they continued. The arrival of humans challenged this fundamental belief. Here was a species with no natural armor, no specialized sensory organs, no extraordinary physical capabilities in any single area. By our traditional measures, they would barely qualify as an advanced species. Maya felt hundreds of alien eyes turning toward her and her team. Yet when faced with the greatest threat in Confederation history, it was precisely these unspecialized beings who found solutions where we could not. They could adapt to environments that would kill our most elite warriors. They could endure conditions that would break our most advanced machines. The Supreme Commander's light column pulsed brighter. "Today, I am announcing a complete revision of the Confederation's species classification system. No longer will we rank life forms based solely on specialization or technology. Adaptability, endurance, and creativity will be recognized as equally valuable evolutionary paths. A wave of murmuring swept through the assembly. Furthermore, the Supreme Commander continued, humans will be granted full membership in the Confederation Council, with all rights and responsibilities that entails. The announcement triggered a thunderous response, the various sounds of approval from dozens of different species, creating a strange but unmistakable chorus of support. After the ceremony, Maya found herself approached by Dr. Thel, whose blue glow seemed particularly bright today. "I have something to show you," the xenobiologist said excitedly. "My new research facility." Maya followed Dr. Thel through the vast space station to a section that hadn't existed before. The sign above the entrance read, Comparative Evolutionary Studies Division. Inside, teams of scientists from various species worked at stations filled with displays of biological data. One entire wall showed the evolutionary tree of Earth species, with humans highlighted at the top. "This is all because of you," Dr. Thel explained. "We're completely rethinking our understanding of evolution. For millennia, we believed that specialization, becoming perfectly adapted to a specific environment, was the highest form of evolution. And now?" Maya asked. "Now we recognize that adaptability itself can be a specialization," Dr. Thel replied. "The ability to function adequately in many environments rather than perfectly in one. It's changed everything." Dr. Thel led Maya to a laboratory where alien scientists were studying human DNA. "We've discovered something remarkable," the xenobiologist explained. "The genes that make humans so adaptable, they exist in many species, but usually they're suppressed in favor of specialized development." "What does that mean?" Maya asked. "It means we might be able to help other species unlock some of their suppressed adaptability, not to become human, but to become more flexible versions of themselves." As they walked back to the main corridor, Maya noticed something unusual. A group of alien cadets dressed in modified versions of human exercise clothing, being put through what looked suspiciously like military physical training. "What's this?" she asked. Dr. Thel's glow pulsed with what Maya had learned was amusement. "Perhaps Commander Brill should explain." The once skeptical officer stood watching the training session with his arms crossed. When he saw Maya, he gave a respectful nod. "Lieutenant, Commander Chen, or should I say Director Chen now." "Just Maya is fine," she replied. "What's going on here?" "This is the first class of the Confederation's new Adaptive Combat Training Program," Commander Brill explained. "We're attempting to train select warriors from various species in human methods." Maya watched as the alien cadets struggled through what looked like basic push-ups, modified for their various physiologies. Some had too many limbs, others not enough. Some were clearly built for strength, others for speed. "It's not about making them human," Commander Brill continued. "It's about teaching them to adapt beyond their natural specializations, to use their bodies in ways they never considered possible." "And how's it going?" Maya asked, watching an 8-limbed cadet collapse in apparent exhaustion. "Difficult," admitted Commander Brill. "Most species have never needed to push their physical limits the way humans routinely do. They've relied on technology to compensate." A tall insectoid officer approached, carrying training equipment. Maya recognized her as Captain Vril, one of the new instructors recruited from worlds with more adaptation-friendly environments. "The problem isn't just physical," Captain Vril said, her translator rendering her clicks into smooth speech. "It's psychological. Most species develop a fixed understanding of what their bodies can and cannot do, and they never question it." "Humans question everything," Commander Brill added, with what might have been admiration, "especially limitations." 2 weeks later, Maya stood on the bridge of Earth's first Confederation-class starship, the Unity. As the most advanced vessel ever provided to a new member species, it represented a remarkable shift in the galaxy's power structure. Admiral Zextral had come personally to oversee the handover ceremony. Now he stood beside Maya looking out at the stars. "Your world has changed much in a short time," he observed. Maya nodded. The arrival of the Confederation had transformed Earth. New technologies, new ideas, new understanding of humanity's place in the universe. "We're adaptable," she said simply. Indeed. The Admiral's eyes blinked in their thoughtful pattern. There is something I've wondered but never asked. When we first met, we treated your kind with less respect than was deserved. Yet you never seemed angry. Maya considered this. Humans have a long history of underestimating each other. Different cultures, different abilities, different ways of thinking. We've often dismissed what we didn't understand. Maybe that prepared us for being dismissed by aliens. And yet you persisted, Admiral Zextral said. Like your evolutionary history as persistence hunters. Exactly, we keep going, we adapt, we learn. As the Admiral prepared to depart, he handed Maya a small data crystal. The Supreme Commander asked me to give you this. It contains the new Confederation Species Classification System. Humans helped write it. Maya took the crystal, feeling its weight in her hand. What's different about it? Everything, the Admiral replied. It no longer ranks species from primitive to advanced. Instead, it recognizes different evolutionary approaches as equally valid paths. Specialists, generalists, symbionts, collectives, all have their place. Later that evening, Maya visited the new Confederation training facility established on Earth. Inside, human instructors worked alongside alien experts, creating training programs that combine the best of all species approaches. In one large room, she found Lieutenant Kumar leading a session with a mixed group of humans and aliens. They were practicing moving quietly, something humans did instinctively, but many alien species found challenging due to their natural armor or unique physiologies. The key is to feel the surface under you, Kumar was explaining patiently. Distribute. Your weight gradually, don't just step down all at once. Maya watched from the doorway, remembering how the Confederation had once dismissed humans as barely worth noticing. Now aliens were carefully studying how humans walked. As the session ended, one of the alien cadets approached Maya. The young droney, with 4 arms and luminescent eyes, gave a perfect human salute. Director Chen, she said through her translator. May I ask a question? Of course. My instructor said that humans developed your adaptability because your planet has such varied environments and challenges. But other worlds have diversity too. Why did humans become so flexible? Maya thought for a moment. I think it's because we never stopped questioning, never stopped trying. When we couldn't fly, we built wings. When we couldn't breathe underwater, we made tanks of air. We refused to accept that any environment was off limits to us. The young cadet's eyes glowed brighter. So the true strength is not in the body, but in the mind that refuses limitations? Maya smiled. That might be the most important lesson humans can teach the galaxy. As she walked back to her quarters that night, Maya looked up at the stars, now filled with known worlds and allies, rather than mystery and potential threats. The primitive human body that had once been dismissed had helped save a galaxy. Not through perfection, but through persistence. Not through specialization, but through adaptation. And as new threats would inevitably arise in the vastness of space, Maya knew that the combined strengths of all species, each valuable in their own way, would face them together.